Frederick, thank you for joining us today. We are here with Cox Automotive Mobility, and we are excited to celebrate Black History Month. And we wanted to find a leader in the industry that's doing something interesting that's actually in the process of making history today. And I was glad to be able to connect with you and invite you to join us for this mini fireside chat that we'll be able to share with our mobility team members. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, Ronald. It's a pleasure to be with you guys today and get to share our journey and story.
Well, great, great. Well, you know what? We're going to jump right into it with a few questions. We've talked about Cox Automotive before, but we want to learn more about you today. And so, can you share like what inspired you to start JéGO? Like, where did it come from, and just kind of share that with us today.
So usually I've been advised to not, spend too much time on the original story because it's very personal. I'll just keep it very concise. I had experienced a very tragic event. A loved one passed away in a car accident. EMT took EMT about a few hours, about 4 hours exactly to get to him, which was, unfortunate. So it was a painful, tragic incident, and it inspired me to create and build a solution using autonomous vehicles that are driverless that can be brought to your location without you having to go to the location of what you need, whether it's a business service, healthcare service, or product. So that was where that started in 2018, and I, put together the engineering plan, engineering design, and at the time I already had a couple technology businesses in the software space that were working on IoT solutions. We had consulted as well on smart city projects. So I already knew what was coming, but at the same time, it was 2018. This is prior to 2020. There wasn't an urgent need for contactless services or on urgent on-demand services. So 2020 accelerated that demand, and I saw the perfect opportunity paired with the data that I garnered from trading stock options as well on e-mobility companies, and also again consulting and building some of these projects as well. So I decided to take a leap of faith. It still is kind of early, but as faith will have it, you have global organizations worldwide who have this urgent need of driving and meeting sustainability goals. Most importantly, the urgent need for e-mobility across the world right now is more urgent than prior to in prior years. So that's how I got into it, and here we are today.
Well, that's great. That's great for sharing. So I know you have one product that is pretty much available in the market today, and then the autonomous part is something that is in development. So can you share about your chargers? You have charging stations, right? So can you share in terms of where you guys are at, the services that you guys provide, and then also maybe talk about where you guys are at in terms of the JéGO pods?
Sure. So we'll start with where the need for the charger stations or charging stations came from. As you would have it with autonomous vehicles and electric vehicles, you have to build out infrastructure prior and after that's supposed to maintain the scale, first of all, of the operations, but most importantly, support what's going on. So you're talking about communication protocols, and you also have energy infrastructure that's required. So the problem and need came from our end as a company. We knew we had to solve our battery longevity, and we also needed points around the city where our routes were, where the pods needed to charge without having to go back to the hub, to the main hub where they're stored. So that was where that need came from. And recently, not a few months ago, we had come across more pressing need on a government level, where you have, for example, in New York State, they have a need for 50,000 chargers that needs to be met by 2025. Columbus has a need for 900. City of Columbus, that is, has a need for 900, and the list goes on. You have all these organizations and it's quiet, but again, it's those people in the industry that understand what's going on right now in the sense of the rush to build this infrastructure, which you have the Build Back Better program supported by Joe Biden to support the building and manufacturing of charger related infrastructures locally. So we decided to also use the opportunity to bring people into our ecosystem and also build a long-term journey and relationship with our end users and customers in a great way to also create establish brand identity in the marketplace while solving this need that's found by EV owners needing to have a conducive charging station that's close to their home or office or on their way to a specific destination. And
Oh,
we're currently in the process of deploying our first charging stations in Columbus, Ohio. We'll be dealing with some lobbyists and some property development organizations and government-related organizations to deploy this in the city of Columbus. And we're currently looking at cities in California and also in Nigeria.
all right. So charging stations today, autonomous
Charging
vehicles.
stations and our autonomous. So yes, as soon as the charging stations are deployed, we use, again, it's a low hanging fruit. We're using them to get them into our ecosystem. And then our autonomous vehicles, once they're deployed, these customers and users are already familiar with our brand, making our risk lower in the sense of being able to, our user acquisition risk lower in bringing users and customers onto our platform. So we think it's a brilliant strategy for us, and it also mitigates our risk in investing into these autonomous electric vehicles that we believe will power the future of commerce and logistics.
Wow. Well, I want to take it back a little bit, Frederick. Go back in time a little bit. In our past conversations, you talked about how you got into coding, being a programmer, some time that you spent with your dad. Can you talk a little bit more about how'd you become a computer programmer? How'd you get into coding? How'd you get into that?
Well, so I would like to say that I kind of accidentally stumbled into tech, but not really. I would say my father most likely had good observation skills and parenting skills to notice that I actually loved engineering and tech. So in my childhood days, I used to always love assembling computers without the manual, any electrical device, a car when it's brand new, looking through without having to ever look at the manual. It's a challenge that I always took on myself. And as a kid, I always wanted to build my own car company. So it's ironic and funny that I never knew what kind of car it would be, because designing a beautiful car is hard to, not just designing it, but building it that's functional, safe, etc. takes a lot. So at the time as a kid, I didn't know what the path would look like. But long story short, my father had enrolled me into the Microsoft IT Academy because he didn't want me playing basketball, pursuing a professional basketball career, which is what I wanted to do right after high school. So he had enrolled me without asking, said, "You're starting on Monday." So I'm in that class, the youngest in the class, had people twice my age, were coding overnight in labs. At the time, it seemed a little annoying, but I did know I enjoyed it. I didn't tell my dad that. But I graduated, I had Bill Gates on my graduation certificate at the age of 16. And, at that time, I didn't understand the importance of that. But now looking back with the journey, that was a pivotal decision that my father made that definitely gave me a plan B to fall back on, with the stats the stats and data we know about professional athletes, especially for young Black boys. Seeing this story and how this played out is very interesting to me because if I didn't have any other options, and I've had in my other businesses, I've worked with NBA players, NFL players, and this is a message that we always try to drive: is there are not too many the opportunities for athletes making to, the high school kids or the college kids make it to the NBA, and not just make it in there, but have a sustainable 20, 30-year career to take care of your family, is lower than being able to have, skills that can enable you to earn today and for a long period. And I believe that's what tech provides for the minority communities and the not just mental liberation opportunities, but also economic empowerment opportunities that it presents. And that's why I love to speak to kids at high school and colleges about the opportunities that tech presents. And it's a wide range of things. It's no longer limited to just software and coding. You have design, you have product management, legal side. There's so many angles that you can get involved in tech. And yeah, that is
Oh,
it.
no, that's cool. Your dad said, "You know what? You're signing up. You're going."
Yeah, there was no option.
No options. Sound like my dad a little bit. So cool. Well,
I see the Barack Obama art painting in the background. So yeah,
you see that, right? You see that he was playing a little basketball, had a shirt and tie on, right? So yeah,
the story, right?
that's right. So yeah, so can you share some of the challenges you have faced in starting this company? What are some of the influential people that have helped you along the way? And last but not least, just touch on maybe some defining moments in your life or in your professional career that have made you who you are and helped you get to where you're at today.
So I believe you started with what are some of the challenges that
Yeah.
I've experienced. I mean, a company like this is capital intensive, so that's like the number one part because you have to build an expensive product that it's not expensive per se, but when you build in one or two, those unit economics do come into play. So that has been a challenge in the past, and it still is, especially as a Black founder. So there's that part, but I'm a very resourceful person, and I believe in being there's no obstacles or anything in your way, so you're always able to get past it and evolve. So that's one of the key challenges as any other Black founder or minority founder would resonate with. But most importantly, the challenge of having the vision, because that's the biggest part, that's the hardest part, even as a startup, before you're even able to execute, having that vision and being able to clearly articulate it into a plan that's also visual and that people can see and understand is one of the hardest parts, right? And then also team recruitment, being able to find the right people to work and be on the same path with you guys, and synergy is a typical startup challenge, but is one that I would say fades away after a while. So those are some areas of challenges that I would say, but the key part is definitely as a founder of a minority founder, being able to raise capital is like the biggest challenge because we always get all these ideas, not ideas, sorry, insights and lessons or invites to cohorts and accelerators and things of that nature. But that doesn't grow companies. Business is about practicality and being hands-on and experience. You can only know if a company will succeed when you're actually deploying capital testings to iterate, to create, do your A/B testing and figure out what's working and what's not working.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I've heard a phrase used in the capital community that oftentimes minority or Black founders are over mentored and undercapitalized, right? So
Correct.
that's what you're touching on. Well, who are some of the influential people that you have worked with just, throughout your journey, career, or even today at JéGO?
I've worked with a lot of influential people. Our team right now is made up of some of the best people I've ever worked with. One of them is one of our investors, one of our angel investors, and he owns over 15 patents at Caterpillar, Black inventor as well. And he's been a very good and great advisor that's guided and shared insights, especially in this field of manufacturing engineering. And I also have an advisor at Lucid Motors, who's been very pivotal. I can't share too much on that, but very pivotal and shared a lot of insights that's guided my decisions in running and growing JéGO.
All
And
right.
most importantly, my parents, of course.
Okay.
Most definitely my parents, of course, because they laid the foundation from having a manufacturing business where I learned the first steps of manufacturing and being able to manage over 100 employees and see what it is to, source from from the raw materials to finished products. That was a pivotal foundation that shaped how I think, how I view life, and how I create and architect ecosystems.
Yeah, speaking of manufacturing, I know your schedule has been very tight, and I know you're on the West Coast right now because you're based on the East Coast, but you're on West Coast right now working on manufacturing. So I just want to say thank you for taking this time slot out to jump away from your manufacturing visit and coming to talk with us while you're in transition. So I just want to take a moment to say thanks.
Thank you very much, Ronald. It's an honor to be on here and sharing our story with a company like you guys. You guys are known for innovation on the technology side in the auto space, so it is an honor.
Yeah. So is there a defining moment in your life that was just something that you always go back to, or like a pivotal life moment that always just resonates with you that you can share?
Yeah, certainly. I will. There's so many of them that's accumulated over time, and if I was to list every single one of them, we'll spend the whole day here. I will say, at the age of 16, shortly around the same time I started coding, I read a book. It's a shame that I can't remember the name of the book because I was 16, and that was the first book I read from the front to the end, and it was actually, sorry, it was The Alchemist, and that changed how I looked at life forever. Being able to own your own problems, like how you accept your role in every problem or issues you ever come across, whatever outcome in your life. What is your role? And never shifting blame to other people or the external world, and always starting from within. So that changed my perspective um, in how I navigated life, and always starting with what's going on inside internal world. So that was a pivotal book that changed everything in my life when I came across that, in the sense of how I move forward. And most importantly, in the sense of pivotal moment, I would say when I moved here at the age of 17 as an immigrant from Nigeria to America, with the goal of having a higher education, and also having a better, career, opportunities. And that was a pivotal moment, a decision that actually changed the course of my life, because if I never made that decision, I would probably never be here today.
Oh, wow. No, that's really inspirational. Thanks for sharing. What advice would you give to professionals or entrepreneurs in this mobility industry, in this space? What would you say?
I would say collaborate, because it's still, there's a lot, it's a blue ocean market, especially because everyone's moving towards e-mobility. Ford having a million vehicle target by 2025, and Mercedes having their fleet electrified. They have the electric S-Class, the EQS. So definitely there's a lot of collaboration opportunities across the board to help create this civic tech that's being used by the public, because I believe it will be shared and it will be automated. That's the future of the automotive industry. So, and I believe Cox has played some role in creating that shared um, vehicle future. So that's, I would say, definitely collaborate more, be open to new insights and challenges, and let's think outside the box. But I believe we're on a great track in general as in the entire industry, and I'm excited. This is one of the most exciting times in the last 3 decades, and I'm looking forward to the next decade, the race to 2030, right?
That's right. That's right.
2025 first.
That's right. 2025 and then 2030.
Yeah,
So now
2025 is close. 2 years, that's 3 years from now.
that is right. That is right around the corner. And when it comes to e-mobility, electric vehicles charging, do you own an electric vehicle? Have you owned one? And then if so, what are some of the things that you've experienced as a, EV owner? I think I remember in our prior conversations just talking that you do own
Right, right,
e-vehicle.
right. So I have driven a few electric vehicles, and all of them have different experiences. Lucid is definitely still one of my favorite, but most importantly, we have an EQS. That's an electric S-Class, and it's beautiful as well. I love the design. Similar class with Lucid, luxury electric vehicle. But most importantly, these vehicles are being designed to be accessible to the average person in the near future, right? So I love the experience. I don't necessarily, it's quiet for the most part. The downside is the battery life and being able to find chargers, which is why JéGO decided to make our charging stations open to other EV drivers and EV owners. So, I mean, you can't charge your vehicle, first of all the way up to 100%. You can only charge up to 80%. And my wife got this on our birthday, traded out a previous vehicle for this. And one of the frustrations that's already, taking place is just the need to charge every day, like your cell phone, but also the lack of charging infrastructure that is readily available to the public. So those are a couple of things that I would mention.
Got it. Okay. Well, JéGO's right in the middle, helping to solve
Right.
that, right?
Yeah,
So
we're doing. That's why we're launching the first stations in Columbus, so that the public can have access to it. And our target too is to have this in minority communities as well. So not just places where the typical EV owners would be, you know, the Tesla demographic, which is a higher demographic income bracket. So we're looking to have our infrastructure in lower income communities as well, so as to drive, because as we've already all established in the industry from data and research, is that to drive the adoption of electric vehicles and push e-mobility, we do have to have these infrastructures in place to win the public trust in whatever products we're putting out on roads.
Got it. All right. Thanks for sharing that advice. How can people stay connected with JéGO? Like, how can we be a part of the journey? How can we follow you? How can they support?
Sure. So we're on social media platforms of JéGO Technologies, spelled out JéGO Technologies. That's our Instagram. On Twitter is JéGO Pods, JéGO Pods, Pods. And then on LinkedIn, you can find us on there as well. And you can connect with me, Frederick Akpoghene. I believe Ronald and the team probably share some information on there on my spelling of my last name. And in addition to that, we're currently in the middle of our seed round, getting ready to wrap that up. So we're still accepting investments from angel investors, venture capitalists, and also we do have a Start Engine campaign. Start Engine that approached us because they believe in the solution, and the public can invest. We've raised over 76,000 at the moment, and over 100 investors from the public that believe in what JéGO wants and what JéGO has created, and they want to be a part of this future and see the need. We've already gotten a lot of requests. Again, that's LOIs, government partnerships, private organization partnerships in smart city space that want to use our solutions, from fleets to the charging stations. And we're very, very, very excited. So we're also excited to have the public be a part and invest along institutional investors and be a part of this journey, because this is the only time we will be having this crowdfunding campaign available for the public to invest.
All right. Wow. Well, this has been great, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, this has been great.
I really appreciate it. That was great.
So I just want to say, autonomous vehicle shuttles that are really more geared towards what cities, fleets, businesses, right, in terms of shared use.
Correct.
That's what we're wrapping up with. Is, that's the future, right?
Right. And like you say, you call it what? Real estate on wheels. Workspace on wheels is what we call it. You call it real estate on wheels. So you understand the power of it, which is when these things are automated, you can use them for productivity and entertainment.
There you go. All right. Well, you have any closing words as we close out?
It's an honor to be on here. Thank you again, Ronald, for your support. I really appreciate everyone and the entire community and everyone out there that's actually rooting for JéGO. It's actually humbling to see this much support so soon, for a startup like ours. And we're excited to deliver and execute on our strategy. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for joining us, Frederick. Take care.
Thank you very much, Ronald. It was a pleasure.
Talk to you soon.
All right. Bye-bye.